That's the one. It's stuck in my head. I cannot understand why the importance of bringing up that at that point.
Honestly, going down to it, I think the only logical explanation for it was that the Galavans somehow had a part in having the Waynes killed. And I want to go back to Silver for a moment here because you see that Bruce is almost instantly enchanted by her, and that she is, I think, for at least a little bit in the season, is probably going to take his mind off of Selina, who Alfred has pretty much chased off at this point, saying that Selina is not good for Bruce and that Bruce's life will be better out without her. Now it's pretty obvious that that's not going to be the truth. Obviously, Selina's life is not going to be better without Bruce, and I think at some point we're going to see Selina going to have to save Bruce from Silver.
Yes, I agree, and you can definitely see the turmoil going on through Selina's mood and attitude at this point after Alfred very rudely sent her away.
I kind of understand why Alfred did it. I mean, he's trying to go off and he's trying to shape Bruce into a man, I suppose. Of course, I mean, Alfred is just as lost as everyone else when it comes to the Galavans and clearly doesn't see who they are. In fact, it seems that the only people who really know who the Galavans really are the underworld, and almost everyone in the underworld is now under the Galavans' thumb in one way or another.
Not entirely true. The only reason Penguin actually knows about the Galavan is because he saw Barbara. When he went to go see the Galavans. So,
and we know that Butch knows as well.
Well, yeah, he has to know now.
Yeah.
And that shows the whole secretness of it. That the only reason the Penguin actually knows is because the Galavans let him know.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see where they go with this.
Yeah.
One last thing, I think, before we move on. We need to really talk about Enigma's date.
His very strange date, I might add. It started off good, turned bad, went good again. He's really adapted to his split personality, a very bold, very open, Enigma. And it's like, dinner, my place, tonight, 8.
Yeah.
There was no questions, there was no nothing. It was telling her.
You can see that part was the Riddler taking over.
Oh, absolutely. And then,
But then we see, they seem to have some problems at the beginning of the date. And then Kristen walks off and he has a fight with himself. And when she comes back, he has to explain that he had a fight with himself. And for whatever reason, that idea seems to turn her on for...
But, she only slightly questions the fact that Enigma actually admitted to killing her former love interest. Because, they're talking about him, and he just blurts out of nowhere, I'm glad he's dead.
Well, I think, that wasn't so much him admitting that, he did it, as much as, it kind of caught her off guard. I mean, the guy was a jerk. So, I mean, the world is a better place without, him in it.
True, but a schizophrenic, potentially homicidal Enigma, I don't think is any safer.
Absolutely. And, I mean, I've stated this before. If Kristen Kringle is still around by the end of the season, I'll be completely surprised.
Oh, I agree.
I think, honestly, if she's not Enigma's next victim, she will probably be within the next 5.
Yes, within the next 5, probably for just this season. So yes, we will go to a quick music break, and then we will come back talking about a couple movies that we have recently seen over the last weekend.
Yeah.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Captain Fizz and Mask Guy show. So we just spent pretty much 20 minutes talking about Gotham, which is awesome because probably so much more to say, but as the week,
it's a regular thing for us if you listen to our Tuesday episodes. Which is way too excited about it.
Which is good because it just shows the quality of TV that DC's putting out.
Well, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, because you don't watch Arrow and you don't watch The Flash,
which is changing. I unfortunately have been forced to start watching them due to someone else not having cable.
we have a friend of the show who we've had on before, our good friend Andy. Andy, if you're listening, which I highly doubt you are, you little turkey. I hope you're doing. Most things apropos, considering yesterday was Thanksgiving here in Canada.
Yes. Turkey.
Yes. But anyways, because he doesn't have cable, the good captain here, out of the goodness of his heart, and you notice the sarcasm coming from my veins.
I don't have a heart.
Exactly. So you went off and you've been recording shows for him.
I have been. Which is the most difficult. I'm sitting there staring at my TV. I got the remote in hand. I have the channel, and I just couldn't bring myself to hit record. It's just something was stopping me from recording. And I believe it was my no-nonsense filter, but it could have been the I don't care. Is itis. I don't care itis.
Anyway, man, that's, a topic for another day, perhaps. I don't know. Let's talk about the movies that we've seen recently.
We'll start with the one that you and I actually saw together. Not on a date. I was sitting alone.
Yes, you sat in front of me. I kept kicking you in the back of your head.
You did. Actually, you kicked me a few times in the back, but that's okay, because I cursed you silently. We went to go see Martian on Saturday night, which was, I'd give it 3 stars just because there was a few moments where I kind of fell asleep, even with all the kicking.
For me, it was definitely a solid, 4.5 stars. Honestly, it's probably one of the best movies I've seen in quite some time. And not to mention, I think Matt Damon kind of gave one of the best performances of his career so far.
Yes, I agree. Like, Matt Damon was really good. If it wasn't Matt Damon, I think it would be a solid 1. He was the only reason that movie actually took off. I don't like kind of the space genre like that. I like space travel. I do not like someone on Mars or on the moon and documenting what they're doing and blah blah blah. There was a few action scenes that definitely was really unique on how they did the special effects. You
know what? Honestly,
they made it look realistic.
It looked realistic. The one part that kind of confused me, and I mean, obviously, I'm not much of a scientist, so perhaps someone can go off and enlighten me on Twitter or send us a message on this. But the fact that it didn't look like he was, bouncing around on Mars, I don't know, how much gravity Mars actually has.
Last I figured out, nobody has ever been to Mars. We've had rovers, but apparently the atmosphere is much like Earth. It's not so much like the moon. That's all I can kind of gather. I'm not 100% sure. The whole growing potatoes on Mars
actually seemed pretty cool.
With the very little soil that he actually had, made no sense. Anybody who grows potatoes knows you need a heck of a lot more dirt than that.
Well, I mean, obviously they had to take some creative license for doing this. But I mean, potatoes in some ways makes a lot of sense because I mean they're a root vegetable. So
I wasn't faulting it for the potatoes. I thought growing the potatoes was very unique, especially since 1 potato a day is high in protein and starch. So it definitely can keep you fed for quite a while. What kind of the most entertaining part would be when he blew himself up.
That was actually kind of cool, and I know I wasn't the only one whose heart it was racing during that
It
scene.
reminded me of 8th grade science class when I blew up the science lab.
Yeah, when he was trying to go off, he was trying to make water.
Yeah, and he forgot to add in the factor of the oxygen he was breathing.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, I thought it was a great story. I don't really, know if the science that they used in this movie really matches up in the real world. But it kind of felt like, down the line, when people finally, we can finally go to Mars.
Now that they found water on Mars.
Now that they found water on Mars and everything, it's very fascinating to me that this could be something that actually could happen.
I do agree. They do have a space program currently in process where they are narrowing down to, I believe, 5 or 6 people that they are going to be sending up to live on Mars. It is a one-way ticket. You will not be coming back. So, I don't know. It seems a good idea, but at the same point, who really wants to go to another planet? We've already wrecked this one. Let me know, why wreck another?
I don't know. But again, I thought it was really good. Some of the... For me, I mean, a lot of the supporting performances were really good. It was really weird for me to see Kristen Wiig go off and play it straight in here.
Yes,
that really took me back. I thought she would bring some comedy into it, but she was actually one of the most serious characters in the entire movie.
Yes, Matt Damon would have to be the very funniest, which was a very strange.
Well, Matt Damon, I mean, I've went off and watched him in the Oceans series. The guy, can be very humorous. I know he's probably best known for some of his action movies.
Yes.
But
most actors seem to be best known for their action as of lately.
But there was a couple of performances. I mean, I thought Jeff Daniels was really good in this. Michael Pena, who also appeared in Ant-Man, was really good in this. I mean, he was kind of the guy who really brought a lot of the comedy to this. He was one of Matt Damon's fellow astronauts in it. One thing that really stuck out to me was a scene with Sean Bean, who was, of course, in the Lord of the Rings movies. And they go off and they make a Lord of the Rings reference. And so I just thought, it was really hilarious that they would go off and do that.
Yes,
with Sean Bean there.
He played Aragorn, did he not?
No, he didn't play Aragorn. I'm sorry, guys. I'm definitely going to lose my Lord of the Rings cred here. Oh God.
Wow, that's
I'm
really
bad. I'm putting my head down in shame. I really feel bad.
Honestly, I hate to say this. When I first saw his face, I didn't think Lord of the Rings. I thought Game of Thrones. Which is really...
Boromir. There we go. I was...
Right. He played that guy who got shot multiple times with arrows.
Which honestly was probably one of the coolest things that they showed in Fellowship of the Ring. And yes, of course, he was Eddard Stark from, Game of Thrones as well.
Thank you. Which is coming up soon.
Yeah.
After Walking Dead is done, which actually premiered this weekend, and their numbers are lower than they ever have been, but still higher than everything else.
No kidding. But anyway, again, I thought this was a really, really great movie. I mean, to me, this was kind of the space equivalent of a Castaway that we saw several years ago with Tom Hanks.
Yes, and Wilson.
Wilson, yes. The only thing is that Matt Damon did not go off and start talking to an inanimate object.
That's not true. He was talking about that radiator thing.
Well, yes, but at least he was talking to, a voice recorder. So
True.
It wasn't quite as bad as Wilson, but, I'll give you some credit on that one.
Yes, I deserve some credit.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the next movie. It's a movie that we both went off and we saw, but didn't necessarily see it at the same time.
No, we saw weeks apart.
Hotel Transylvania 2. So this movie's actually going to be more fresh in your mind, perhaps, than it's going to be in my mind, because I